All right, so here we are, back at the bench. And what do we have today? Well, I'm going to move my little mascots out of the way here. And here's my test blade for this stone. And what this is, okay, if you haven't figured it out by now, this is a Purple Welsh Slate. Now, the story, there's like this notorious thing going on in the world of razor honing with the slate. This piece of stone right here comes from a seller on eBay, AJ. He also has a shop on Etsy, I think, Green Sharpening or something like that. He sells a lot of hones. He's in the UK. He has access to, I guess, what you call a boot fair, where people pull up and open their trunk and they sell stuff out like a flea market. And he picks up old tools, and he picks up old sharpening stones and Charnleys and Linid walls, and he's picked up and sold on eBay. He's had all kinds of Thuringians and stuff like that. Anyway, so we got this stone here. And if you read a listing or you read a post on the internet about it, you'll find that people refer to it as a Lynn Melanillin. Now, what's that? Lynn Melanillin means Yellow Lake in Welsh, the language. And it's actually, for Hones, Yellow Lake was a brand, and I think that the Salmon brand was part of it. They owned it or something, it's a brand. So somehow or another, and the story here is actually kind of funny, I'm actually an integral part of it. AJ came up with these stones. He put them on eBay, and soon enough they were being called, like Yellow Lakes or Lynn Melanillins. I don't know if he actually said that's what they are, but people started saying that and referring to them that way. But they're not. They're not that, because Lynn Melanillin is a brand, like Escher is a brand. Eschers, these stones come from a part of Germany, Thuringia, okay, and not every stone from Thuringia is an Escher. This is a brand, okay. Brand type of stone, slate, okay, but it's a brand. There was quality control. There were people running the quarries, whatever. It's a specific thing, is what I'm trying to say. All right, just because it came from there doesn't mean it's the same as this. That's not the story. It's not the way it goes. Same with this stuff. All right. So anyway, so AJ put this stone up on one of these stones up on eBay one day, and it was purple. It caught my eye. I read his listing. He did not know what it was. And, he was honest like that. He just said, I don't know. I never saw him before. And I wrote to him. I had recognized it. I said, hey, go talk to Neil Miller. Your stone looks like one on his site called Lynn Melanillin. And ba-boom, 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 next thing you know, these things are being called Lynn Melanillins all over the place, and Yellow Lakes and whatever. I know he called Neil. I know he talked to Neil. I know he used to speak with Neil and get advice from him. But I think at some point those conversations subsided after AJ started becoming very busy. Just one of those things. I'm not trying to allude to anything, just telling the story. So at some point Neil wasn't really talking to him about these stones anymore. Neil is no longer with us. He was a brilliant man. He knew a lot about stones. He's a little geeked out over it. I had numerous conversations with him about charns and lins and linid walls. Never these. Some other stones we talked about, through email, as hundreds of thousands of other people have done. Nothing special there. But I don't even know where I'm going with that. Anyway, so back to the stone, right? So basically, AJ at the time was going to a reclamation yard and picking up architectural slate and stuff like that, and cutting it up. And he's a woodworker, and so he knows what like a hone is going to do for him. And he was selling them as such, and then he got into straights a little bit, and he was using these stones with his straights, and he had success, some kind of success. He got a couple of people on the shaving forum to get behind him. The next thing you know, Fanboy City and the Purple Slates were becoming popular, along with two others that AJ sold. He had a black slate, Dragon's Tongue, which Dragon's Tongues are bought from. It's a black slate. It's also Welsh, but they're from, was it Ingo Jones, I think? Yeah. Okay, so they've been selling them for a long time. I think Ingo Jones produced stones for Salmon, and they were sold on the Yellow Lake. I mean, there's a lot going on there, and if you buy a stone from Ingo, you can get a gray one, you can get a black one. Some are harder than others, blah, blah, blah. I've bought direct from there. I've bought the black slates from AJ also. And then AJ also had like a black-green slate that he was, some guy on the forums called it a Welsh Thuringian, which annoyed the crap out of me because it's not a Thuringian and it shouldn't be called that. And somehow somebody came up with calling it a 15K stone, and these were called out as 12K. And and Neil was upset about the numbers. He thought the numbers were ridiculous. I think he said something to the effect of calling them ridiculous fabricated grit assignments. And, but that's what happens in this industry. It's all subjective. Somebody might actually believe that to be the case. And when they say that, they're not necessarily saying it from a scientific point of view. They're just, talking out their ass. And so that's what happened with these things. Because these were called out as 12K. They're not, okay? The Purple Welsh Slates are not 12K stones. They're natural stones. There is no grid assignment. I don't care what you say or how you want to look at it. Go take that discussion up with somebody else. Or if you're wondering what that is, that's one of the infamous green spots, which I was very happy. I just recently picked this one up. My first one of these that I got from AJ. I think I was like one of the first people to buy one from him. Actually, I was like kind of like, hey, let me check that out. That's when I was like buying everything on eBay. If it looked like a hone, I bought it. I had piles of slate here, just from stuff from all over Europe. It was nuts. So anyway, so they got the green spot there, and there's another one. It's like nestled into, if I can see it. Yeah, it's like right here. I don't think you can see it. He's really small, a little tiny green dot. On the magnification, it's kind of cool. It's like, I don't know, having a little tiny eyeball in there or something. So anyway, so I bought one of these. I had it for a while. It was one of the first stones that I sold on a shaving forum in the BST. It was just kind of like, I had mixed feeling about it. Oh yeah, by the way, here's another one of those like little spots. I'll get to the spots in a minute. I'll get to the makeup and the stone in a minute. It's a slate. Okay, this is a slate. Yellow Lake, by the way, produced a number of stones. I believe they had a novaculite type of stone. And a couple of different types of slates, and I don't know if they all came from the same quarry. I don't know if they got stones from other places. I just, I can't tell you. I just don't know. I'm trying to reset my focus here. All right. So I had that purple slate, and I used it for a little while, and I was like, I think I still had my super stones back then, and I had that 12K in that set. And then this, and I was toggling back and forth, and I was never happy with this stone. I was never happy with that purple stone, not because I couldn't hone with it. I could hone with it. It didn't destroy edges. It didn't do anything like really negative. It just, I don't know, I just wasn't really stoked on it. The feeling, this is like a type of slate that it doesn't give you that good honing feeling. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but there's a sensation I get from different stones. Different stones have different sensations, but they all those stones that I like, all of those sensations, all kind of, they're an attractive feeling, an attractive, tense, tactile sensation that I'm really digging. I did like the purple slurry on this. I'm a sucker for a purple stone. I've said it a million times. You got a purple stone, I'm down. I sold it, actually, and my purple slate was, I believe, the introductory piece that allowed me to make Nelson's acquaintance, because I think he wanted to buy it, And I was like, yeah, nah, it's not for you. It's not exciting. This is like really for someone just starting out. It's not worth it. And he was like, whoa, really? All right, cool. That's cool that you would, just say that like that. Because most people like trying to sell the stone or stones are just like, whoa, this is the best thing since sliced bread. That's what the fanboy shit was doing in the forums. These guys, they were all like, this is the best thing in the world. The dragon's tongue is a 12K stone, and this is like, please. I know I'm going to make some enemies, as usual. The dragon's tongue is not a 12K stone. I don't even think it's an 8K stone. I'm putting it at about 6 or 7K, and that's an effective assignment. It's not the actual assignment. I'm sure the particle size is much greater than that, but your actual cutting and polishing capabilities are mid-range. They are not high-end. They are not finished. I don't care who says what. If you're shaving off of a dragon's tongue right now, good for you, okay? But I can't, and I've tried, and I've had many examples, and they are, in my opinion, not finishers, okay? The purple stone, I was able to get an edge on it. I could shave with it, but I was never really ecstatic about it. I always felt that it was a little crisp, and not crisp in a good way. It felt kind of like unrefined. No matter how much work I put into it, I kind of felt that it was unrefined. I have this out because I had recently rehoned it to a J-net edge, and I put like a really killer edge on it. And I didn't mind like wiping it out because these things go like, I don't know, 6, 7 shaves with me, and I gotta basically rehone them. Yeah, they're okay for the 6, 7 shaves. I got nothing against that week's worth of work, and I actually don't mind having to rehone it because I hone all the time. And I had just been shaving with it, so I was used to it. And then this came, and I was like, all right, fine. Let me go back to square one, do a bevel up, go through mid-range, get it up to, what did I do, 8K, right? And then I came over to this stone to do my finish. So, what happened? I'll tell you what happened in a minute. I want to talk a little bit more about the stone first, though. So all these people back then, were all jumping up and down about these stones. I think maybe some of them got stones for free, and they were just pimping this stuff to like get free stuff. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe not, And I don't think AJ did that. I would just think maybe a middling person did it or something like that. But it just seemed to be unusual. The one loudest voice, this guy, Paco, I think his name was, he had a set, and he spoke about these stones as though they were a godsend. I bought his 15K Welsh Thuringian. Yeah, thing was a freaking doorstop, okay? It was a waste of time. Complete waste of time. It didn't do any cutting. It did some burnishing. If you didn't get the edge close to there before you touched that stone, you weren't going anywheres with it, and it only moved the edge like in a very marginal sense. It wasn't really a hone at all, right? And I had a couple others too, and they were the same way to me. But this one, no, it was always serviceable to me. I never needed a mid-range slate, so the Dragon's Tongue, a cool name, very cool name, but, I didn't need it. The purple thing was good. I liked that, and this was serviceable, so I liked that. And I think what I like most about this is the price point. I think this stone right here is like, I don't know, $50 delivered, right? So here you have $50. You have a stone delivered. That's USA, by the way. It comes from the UK, so you're paying a lot for, shipping. So if you're on the other side of the pond there, it's way good for you. And you have like a serviceable stone that can get you a serviceable edge. And if you don't have a really high budget, then this is definitely an option. People want to compare, have asked me in the past, could I compare this to like the ILR, the Ilia La Razia, or whatever that thing is called. And, well, this is slate and it's natural. I'm not completely convinced the ILR is natural or slate. But if I remove that component, and it's hard for me to do that because, like, I want to compare it here because, the Escher is basically a slate. I feel it's a better judge or a better comparison. But the ILR was theoretically at one time, it was an inexpensive stone. Now I think, I don't know, they're like $100 or something. So I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, okay. If this was an Escher, this would be like $600. So I think that's where the comparison can come in. You're at that inexpensive level. Anyway, compare this to ILR. I love this. I dislike the ILR. I don't like the feeling. I don't like the way it laps. I don't like the way it feels under my blade. I don't like what it did to my edges. Some people like them, and that's fine, but that's not my experience. I might get another one someday and take a look at it. But the one I had was certainly not a quality stone, and it kind of, I don't know, reminded me of a floor tile, the way it was cut on the bottom, where this is actually, if I email AJ, he'll show me, the rough riven stone that the stone is cut from, So, I want to hone with a natural stone. I mean, that's part of my aesthetic, so I don't need to be, doubting that. So I don't doubt it here. As far as making the edge goes, here I find these stones to actually do a better job. That's just me. I had this stone, I got it a little while back, but immediately out of the box, I had to lap it. AJ does some lapping, but the surface is not for razors. So I hit it with my 400 Atoma, then I brought it down to 400X wet dry, got just about every mark out of it. And I had to do this too and make that all nice and smooth. That was like 5 minutes. Hard stone, very hard, but easy to lap. And I was honing on it, and the feeling is good, and I got an edge. I got a shaving edge. I don't really like the shaving edge. Compared to my JNet edges, I don't like it. Nah. It's funny. Like, I felt that way then, and that was years ago, that I had one, many years ago, and I still feel the same way. I feel like it's sharp, but I don't feel that it's refined. I feel that it's, I guess in layman's terms, a little bit toothy, but I would really rather say ragged. I don't believe there's any way to bring that ragged out. It doesn't seem to want to do it. I made slurry here. I don't have to. The slurry speeds up cutting to some degree, but not enough to matter. It also, I believe, gets in the way of refinement. But I'm making it here in the video to just show you. I'm not doing this because this is how I would hone. If I was going to hone this edge, touch it up, I might throw a streak of slurry down. I might. And then I would dilute rather quickly. And I would spend the majority of my time on effectively plain water. I believe that gives me the most refinement on this stone. I think if I never used slurry on this Welsh stone, that I would be doing myself a favor. People get like slurry crazed. Some guy a couple of weeks ago was talking about slurrying an Arkansas stone. And, I guess if I go and I search the interwebs, I'll find like a record of someone doing that and saying that he got great edges. But, there's all kinds of shit on the internet, and I've seen what slurry from an arc does to an edge. And essentially, to sum it up, it destroys it. Okay? This slurry does not, in my opinion, break down. While I'm sure the possibility of the quartz in this thing could be friable, they're not friable enough for me to be doing this. I got that crisp bite, Interestingly enough, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this, but you know what? I'm going to bring the mic down here. All right, so listen. I didn't move the camera because I didn't feel like moving the camera, but that was this edge on a fire hose drop, and it sounds to me as though my edge width was reduced a bit on this stone, but shaving with it left me with not irritation, but it wasn't really 100% close like I like it, and it didn't seem it wasn't comfortable. My skin, and it's not like irritation. It's just it feels kind of sore. I don't know how else to explain. All right. Um, if I go back to this stone and I do like, it's slow, by the way. It's a very slow stone. Got like some reflection in this thing. Yeah, I can actually feel my edge smoothing out. Yeah. So, as far as I'm concerned, using this on water only is really the best approach. You can get a smaller version of this for about half the price, and no, that doesn't chip the stone. Um, I'm barely touching it. It just sounds loud. I know somebody mentioned that once. Trying to make a point out of it. Um, he's just butthurt because I told the truth about his stone. Anyway, so with this, like a light touch on this, and you know, I'll get like a little bit more smoothness out of this. I'll shave with it tomorrow. I just shaved with this today to keep it fresh. Um, it's a plausible stone. The price is good. I would buy this before. I think I like this stone more than I like the Vermio, although the Vermio is very good. The Vermio has more smooth than this does. This has more sharp. So, pick your poison there. The ILR is not in contend. It's not in the mix for me because I just wouldn't consider it. I know people like them, and that's fine. They can make their own videos and they can say whatever they want. I just haven't had that experience. I mean, I'm allowed to have my own experience. Um, I have nothing for or against any of these stones. I don't sell them. I'm not in competition with them. Um, whatever. It's just I get a stone and I throw it on the bench and I home with it. And I bought this because I wanted to get back in touch with some of my roots. This is like an early stone for me. And I just said, let me get one. They're not expensive. And, I didn't even say anything to AJ. I mean, we've had like some good talks and stuff over the years about stuff. And he's done me some favors and got me some like, some weird shit. Like he got me a Charnley Slurry Stone once. And, talk about something nobody ever needs. That would be a thing nobody ever needs. But I wanted it and he got it for me. But I just want to like talk about the stone for another sec. You can see it comes. There's some saw marks in there, but they're not really present. The bottom is still coarse like it was when I got it from him. But he does a good job in doing the presentation here. When you open it up and take it out, it doesn't scream like, oh my God, you have to lap the shit out of me. It's not like a rough cut stone at all. So that's good. You do have to lap them though. All right. He provides a slurry stone, which, for me, for what I do, is non-essential, but it's always nice to have something like this. And the fact that the one he sent me has a green spot in it, which I'll get to in a minute, that's kind of cool. The fact that the stone has a green spot in it with another little one at the edge corner over here, that's good. And then it has these lines. Can you see them? Trying to show you here, like. You see them there in the stone. Okay, I don't know what that is, to be honest. It could be nothing. It could just be like a flaw in the batter when it was made up. It could be some. So it does under magnification. It does appear to be like a branch. Like there's where the bend is. There's a little swell. It looks like a knuckle, like you'd see on a branch on a tree. So it could be a type of a carboniferous fossil. Very well could be, right? And the reason that is, there's another good possibility of that being true, having the organic matter in the stone show up like that, is the presence of these dots. Now, the dots like drove everybody nuts for like the longest time, and I don't know why. There's information all over the internet about this stuff, and I guess if I just grew up with a background on things, so like I understood things, but you could literally almost just type green dot purple slate and come up with a return that gives you a clue. So anyway, like, it's slate, okay? It's still slate. It's not like a chunk of another stone. It's still slate. It just happens to be reduced. The purple is like oxidized. The green is reduced, right? What's interesting about these dots and the formations is that they appear to possibly have been introduced to the purple stone. See, someplace there's like a pond of purple and there's a pond of green. Pond being like a very bad description of like two loads of silt stone, which is what this starts from. Okay, they're layering. So for it to become slate, right, you have to go through shale. And in the process of it being shale and turning into slate, you get what they call slaty cleavage, which shale does not. So anyway, these dots seem to have been somehow introduced to the stone at some point after the slaty cleavage showed up, and they're related. The shapes of they're like elliptical at times, so that has to do with strain in the stone. So I don't know if you can imagine it. If you have like Play-Doh, right? Now let's say you have like white Play-Doh. You got a ball of white Play-Doh, like a log, but there's a core in the middle of it that's round, perfectly round, like a dowel of black Play-Doh. And if you take it and you distort it and you twist it a little bit, the round dowel-shaped piece of black Play-Doh will become elliptical. Okay, so that's kind of like what went on here, right? A little bit. Yeah, so there's nothing nefarious. There's nothing weird. It's just a plain slate. But there's slate, and then there's slate. And not all slate is the same. So that's one reason why calling this a yellow lake is a bad plan, because a yellow lake slate is what it is, and this is not a yellow lake slate. Even if it came from the same area, if it came from a quarry 4 blocks away, it doesn't mean it's the same slate. Traditionally in that area, I think it's Bethesda, where the Yellow Lake stones were from, and all around there too. Actually, the majority of the slates are all kind of similar, chemically similar. It doesn't mean the makeup is the same. You could have 2 pieces of slate with the same exact chemical compounding, but not be the same, because concentrations of stone and compaction and other things factor in. Crystalline structure isn't a given, so you have to take each stone and each batch of stone on its own. Right? You can't just say, oh, it's purple slate from the same area. It's the same thing, because that's bullshit. All right, so, these are like loaded with mica, and quartz, and I believe epidote, chlorite, hematite. And it's interesting. All 3 of them, they're heavy iron. Okay, and I think that's the reduction. I think the iron is like, it's been a long time, but I think the green slate is reduced, and I believe the iron is reduced into either different types of hematite or whatever. I think that's how the coloring changes. Then there's this other chemical in here, this other stone, chernivite. Chernivite is also very interesting. And in chernivite, these are minerals, so they're made up of lots of different types of other, substances. So in there you have calcite, tourmaline, quartz again, which is silica. Everything is silica. And interestingly enough, in a lot of them, inside the purple thing, there's a compound known as chernivite. Chernivite, yeah, chernivite, and chernivite is like loaded with arsenic. Isn't that interesting? The percentage of chernivite is small, and the percentage of things that make up these things, I don't believe that there's any like health issue or whatever, but I thought it was interesting when I read that. But anyway, the spots seem to show up around areas that have had a lot of organic material that reduced. So having these marks over here, close proximity, it's very possible that they are actually carboniferous fossil deposits. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm honing. I don't feel it. It is what it is. Just marks in the stone. It feels continuous, so it is continuous to me. I don't need to, I just told all of you about that green dot. Do any of you think that you're going to hone better because you know about that green dot? No, you're not going to hone better. It is what it is. just like knowledge that, is interesting, but it's not critical to your understanding. On the shaving forums, people went crazy over these things. They got into arguments. Two guys arguing endlessly, pages and pages of arguing over whether it's actually a yellow lake or it's not, and why it's no good theoretically to call it that. And I get people being passionate about things, but I go back to, for me, all of this, right? All of this is about that, right? It's about shaving. It's about steel on a rock. That's all we're doing. Okay, we put steel on a stone and we rub the stone with the steel. We make an edge and then we go shave. People who take it past that, like, whatever, I'm glad you have a hobby. I don't get into it. Anyway, so that's my take on the Purple Slate. It's a reasonable stone. It gives a reasonable edge. You can definitely work with it. The price point is good. I don't need to be involved in the politics of, the branding or the name calling or anything. It's just unimportant to me. I don't need to know the sectional density. I don't need to know the specific gravity. I don't need any of that. I just basically have to put my steel on it so I can understand what's happening. So like if I was looking for an inexpensive stone, I would buy this. I can recommend this. I actually thought about contacting him and having him like wholesale me like 12 pieces so people in the States can get them faster and not have to pay like $30 shipping on it. But it's his thing, and like let him have his thing, It's $50, so it's not a big deal. Get the smaller one. I think the smallest stone that he sells, it might be like a 6x2 or something like that. I think it's like $20. It costs you like another 20, so I think it's like $40 to get it shipped. Me, I wanted a big like chunk, so this one's like 8 by 2 3/4, about an inch thick. Has some weight to it. I think the shipping fee was something ridiculous, $29. So that part sucks. But overall, I don't like to pay $29 shipping, but it doesn't matter. The stone was $20, so if it's 30 and 20, it's 50. So I got to finish here for 50, and it's like, I just have to learn how to like either deal with that little bit of toothiness or figure out a way to get around it. Hands down, this does 10 times the job. Yeah, it costs money. It costs a lot more than that, sure, okay? But this is the real deal, all right? This is brain dead simple, maximum smooth, very, very high level of keenness. That's an Escher, But if I don't have several hundred and I got 50 or 75 and get this, and I'm on my way honing. So, you got to figure that stuff out. Anyway, that's my take on the Purple Welsh Slate. I hope it was helpful. If you have any more questions or if I missed something, whatever, ask the comments down below. Remember, honing is about having fun. Get out there, get some hones, get some blades. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be high end. Doesn't have to be like a massive J-Nat. It can be anything. Just get out there, hone, and have some fun. All right? Take care. Talk to you soon.